Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Shivang and I'm your host. We're going to discuss about various aspects of analytics, how we do what we do and why we need to do something. We will start by we will start the analytics with Excel initially and then we'll move on to SQL Server and then eventually to Power BI or Tableau, and then also we will learn something about Python in future. But initially we would start off with Excel. A lot of people would think that when we think about data analytics, we should be working on the very hot topics of machine learning, AI, and using Python or R. But that's not true. Data analysis is not about tools. It's about how we use that tools to analyze the data and provide insights to our stakeholder. That's what data analytics actually mean. So in this YouTube channel, we are going to talk about various aspects of the data analytics, starting off with exploring of the data as the first stage. When it comes to the exploring of data, there are four steps that we need to do. Firstly, first step or the first phase is the ask phase. We need to ask what is the business requirement and what are the requirements that our stakeholders are asking from us. Then second phase is the preparation of the phase. We need to look into the data to understand what is the data being used, what are the limitations of the data, where is the data source coming from, and whether the data is credible or not. Then we need to process the data by importing it into any tool, like if we want to import it in Excel or in SQL Server or in Power BI Tableau or in Python. So that's where the processing phase starts, which would include importing of the data in the various tools, then previewing the data set, then cleaning of the data, looking at various outliers that we have in the data. The next phase is analyzing phase. So now after we have cleaned the data, we need to analyze the data. In terms of the analyzing of the data, we need to again go back to the first question: what are the stakeholders' requirement and what is the business need? And then we can look into the various various fields and various different segments of the data set to analyze and share the data. And in the end, the last phase is act phase. It is the phase where we where based on where based on the analyzing part, we come up to certain recommendations or come up to certain observation, which we then share it with our relevant stakeholders or the subject matter expert. So these are the various steps that we need to do when we want to explore the data as the start point. First of all, we need to get the data. If we go to the link above, I have added a data set which is called Uncleaned Sample Superstore. This data set is actually derived from the Sample Superstore coming from the Tableau website, and I have taken out few relevant fields in it. Also, I have added some of the errors in the field so that we have an uncleaned data set, because obviously when it comes to any data set we don't get a cleaned version. And in the real life, whenever we are going a data set which is 100% clean, so that was the whole intention of me doing adding some errors in it and taking just few fields out. So I'm gonna paste this link in the video link below. You can go to the link and download the file over here. Once you download the file, this would come up. So we have few fields. We have shipping method or ship mode, then segment, country, city, state, postcode, region, category, subcategory, sales, quantity, discount, and profit. So if we look at the data, it's a sales data that we are talking about in here. So our previous topic that we need to look we need to look at the first phase, which is the ask phase. So what is the business need what is the requirement of the business or the stakeholder while we are going to work on this data set? Let's assume that my manager comes to me and is asking that we need to, hey Shiv, we need to look into this data to understand what are the areas in the company, what are the weak areas in the company from which we can make growth, and what are the weak areas for the sales department to improve their sales. What are the profitable segments for us and the profitable categories? So when we are talking about these things, when so these are the questions that my manager has asked me now, hypothetically. So when I'm understanding this question, the first point comes to my mind is lot of these questions relate to the profitability or or attributes which relate to profit. So sales, quantity, discount, and profit. What is the requirement of the business or the stakeholder while we are going to work on this data set? Let's assume that my manager comes to me and is asking that we need to, hey Shiv, we need to look into this data to understand what are the weak areas in the company from which we can make growth, and what are the weak areas for the sales department to improve their sales. What are the profitable segments for us and the profitable categories? So these are the questions that my manager has asked me now, hypothetically. So when I'm understanding this question, the first point comes to my mind is lot of these questions relate to the profitability or or attributes which relate to profit. So sales, quantity, discount, and profit. Now let's look at the part of data cleansing. So first we need to add filters over here. And as we can see, there are first class, same day, second class, standard class, and a shipping mode called class, which may or may not be correct, but let's move on in the other fields first to understand what kind of data we are looking at. We have segment, which is consumer, corporate, and home office. Country is just United States, sorry. The country is just United States. Cities, there is no NA over here, no error. State, there is no error. So we could check any more errors over here, which is not. And the postcodes are also in numbers. Then we have four regions: South, West, East, and Central, followed by categories. As you can see, there are some categories as NA, subcategories also as NAs. We have NAs in sale. So let's go with categories NA. When it comes to records like these, we have two options. Either So the first thing is we copy it in a separate tab and delete it from here. Um, then one of the approach here is now to see how many records are there and what percentage of these records make uncleaned records make for the total percentage of the records. So the total records are 999995. So which is, if I can see, okay, and since we already took one out, so the total records are this, and there is only one record which is unclaimed which we have taken out. So the percentage of data which is not claimed is 0.01. So 99.99% of our data is okay as of now. So there is no issue of excluding this line. That's how I start the data cleansing process. But if the percentages of the data to be removed is high, then that's where we need to consult with our stakeholders or the subject matter expert who have the domain knowledge of that particular field, of that particular sales, so of that particular field, to understand how we can approach the problem. So, say in this case, the data is related to the sales data. So, if we had 30 or 40% of unclaimed data having these sort of issues, then we would have to reach out to the marketing team, marketing in the we would have to reach out to the sales and marketing team to understand, uh, to under, to to explore with them what are the other options around the data cleansing, or whether they are comfortable with us removing these data set out of the current data set so that we can start the analyzing of the data. It is very important as an analyst that we are super clear and transparent with our stakeholders and the subject matter expert around what is the data that we are using, and what kind of cleansing we did, and what is the what's the percentage of the data that we excluded. So while making any decision and while they are actually reading our recommendations, they keep that also in mind, and it helps them avoid the bias that might come up in our recommendation. So now going back in here, so we have discount in decimals, which is obviously percentage. We do have blanks here. So all these blanks you can keep zero, and the profit you can see it's negative as well as positive, and there is no NA. So negative profit is possible because it means that at that point of time there was a loss, not a profit, which is fairly okay. But sales should never be negative. Sales should always be positive unless there is a return which is coming in the sales field. Obviously, when it's returned, then it would be negative, but it theoretically will be in a separate table rather than in the sales table. Okay, that was the first part of cleansing. Then what we could also do is we could see that country here is just United States. We could see that country here is United States. We can theoretically drop this column because there is nothing informative about it, and the whole column just has United States, which is consistent. So we know this is a sales data coming from United States. So we can just delete this. And this is called dropping of the column. Then we need to also look into the duplicates, whether the data, sales data has duplicate or not. So for this, I'm just gonna do a concatenation. So I'm gonna use formula concat, and I'm going to combine everything till quantity, or if you want, I can do everything till profit. Then I can go to conditional formatting, highlight cells, duplicate values. And when I want to see filter by color, red, so it will show me all the duplicate values that we have. If there was no duplicate value, then there shouldn't be coming anything. However, as you can see, there are 34 duplicate values in here which have exactly same everything, exactly same class, segment, city, state, postcode, region, and everything. So we have standard class, consumer, Detroit, Michigan, postcode 48227, central, furniture, chairs, sales, quantity, discount, profit. Everything is exactly the same. So it means that all this data set contains the duplications of the sales, and we do not want duplications actually. So we need to remove all the duplications. So I'm gonna go here and go to data. I can select everything here and go to data, remove duplicates, click on OK. So 17 duplicates have been removed. Now if I go to the, so we can go to the field again. If I see here, there is nothing coming as filter by color. So that means there is no duplicate over here now. So which means we have removed all the duplicates, and I'm gonna delete those columns because now our data set has been cleansed already. There are no blanks or NAs anywhere now. So now our data set is ready for us to start working on the analysis. Let's now start with the exploring of the data. Uh, One of the tools that I use is the Excel analysis toolkit, which we can add it as an add-in from in the Excel. If we can go in File, Options, Add-in, we have Analysis Toolpack. We have to click on Go. There is Analysis Toolpack. We have to click on tick mark over here and click on OK. Then we would come up with Data Analysis Toolpack over here. Solver is one of the good ones as well. Solver is very useful when we want to run one what if scenarios. But as of now, we're gonna go with the data analysis toolkit, and we're gonna look into descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics would work on the fields where we have numbers and integers because we want to because it's all about statistics. So statistics would work on the numbers. So I am going to go with sales, quantity, discount, and profit. Labels are in the first row. I am going to select say here. And what else do I need? I need a summary statistics. and I click on OK. So this will generate a summary of all the statistics for along with the fields for these four fields. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it there, description, and then I'm going to clean it a little bit in one table. So now we have one table which gives us all these fields for sales, quantity, discount, and profit. So now, since we removed the duplicates, the total number of fields that we have is total number of records that we have is 9977. The mean sales is 230. So when we say mean sales, we are saying the average sales value is $230. So that means on an average, $230 are spent in each transaction. However, when we look into the median segment, right, we see that the median sales is 54. What it means is that most of the sales that happened have the sales value of 54. It means that the sales is very skewed. We would have few high sales, which would obviously increase the mean. And in this particular case, mean is not a correct uh, measure to understand uh, what are the average sales. I would say median is probably the better ones in this case because there is a skewness in here. How can I look in terms of the skewness? How can I look into the skewness? Uh, how can I verify this thing? I could do that by plotting a histogram. I can go again to data analysis, and in here I can go histogram. So histogram would ask for input range, which is obviously this, and it asks for bin as well, bin range. So bin range is, say if I want to divide, I have a data of 1 to 50 and I want to divide into 5 buckets. Each buckets have uh, numbers from 1 to 10, 11 to 20. So that range of 10 digits is bin. So let's make bin in this case. I am going to make bin of say 50 because the median value is 54. I want to test it that way, 200, and I'm going to extend this to say 1000. Now I can go to data solver, histogram, and I can look at the sales. Apologies about that. I can go to data analysis, histogram. This bin range is this. There is no label, and I want to see the output in here. So more than 1000, if the sale increases more than 1000, then we have the records in here. So just 468 records are more than $1000 spending. And if I want to see the percentage, right, I can do this. So I can go this divided by C, and I'm going to log the sale. So as you can see, 48.5% of the sales have the sales value of 50 or less than 50. Then the next 13.8% have spend sales value of 51 to 100, and then so on. And if I look at till 100, 62% of the sales is already in that, uh, is lower than the 100 mark. So obviously, average value of $230 doesn't seem correct in this case. I would say median in this case is much more better, uh, better indicator for the average order sizing, average sales, I would say. Um, if you look at the range over here, the range is 22,638. So range is basically maximum minus minimum. So we have a minimum sales of $0.44, but a maximum sales of $22,000 as well. So that means our range varies from 44.44 to 22,638, which is a very big range. Obviously, with a sales value of $22,000, the mean is being skewed towards the higher side. That's what minimum, maximum, and range tell us. We would look into the other fields in the later videos, but for the starters, in terms of the descriptive analytics, these are the main ones. These are the main parameters to look. Other way, the other thing that I also do is I go to the analyze data, and I when you click on the analyze data, Excel automatically creates some of the charts for us. And when we can look into these, we, we can obviously see whether we want to use those charts or whether we want to build something on our own as well. So, as an example, if I look at this chart, right, I want to insert that because it obviously gives us a good indicator. Say it plots state against the quantity, and we can see that California was has been purchasing a lot of the products in terms of the quantity. We're not talking about in terms of the sales number, sales value. We're talking about in terms of the quantity. Followed by New York and Texas. If I add this one as well, which is kind of good one because we are looking at fields which would justify for us the profitability, the sales, the quantity. So obviously when we look at this, we are saying the regions west and east have noticeably higher amount of profit than the south and the central. Obviously when but that doesn't mean that the spend also is higher in these segments. It can be lower. So let's bring sales in here. So if we look into the table, right, we can see that central region had more sales than south. However, the profit was least among that them. So so if the sales increases, it doesn't mean that profit also increases. In terms of the shipment mode, this also is kind of insightful. I am creating now a field called discounted, which is where I'm going to say if the discount is 0, then it was discounted, otherwise it was not discounted. Basically, I want to see what happens to sales pattern and what happens to the profit when we give a discount or not. And now I'm going to build my own pivot table here. So I'm going to bring discount over here, sales over here, and I'm going to change it to accounting. And then I'm going to bring profit. And the same thing, I'm going to change it to accounting. So, and I want to see, sorry, I have written it wrong here. If there is no discount, if discount is 0, then it's no, otherwise it's yes. And I have to refresh it. So now what we are saying is if no discount was given, then the total record of sales were lower than when the discounts were given. When the discounts were given, more people were buying it rather than when there was no discount given. However, when it comes to the profit was earned only when there was no discount. When there was a discount given, we didn't have any profit at all. I've also now gone in here and created a calculated field for average sales because I wanted to see what was the average sales value if there was no discount given versus when the discount was given. I will come to that and I'm gonna add minute profit, which would be profit divided by quantity. Okay, so when it comes to no discount, the average sales value is $59. But when the discount was given, the sales order value actually increased. So from a company's perspective, if company starts giving more and more discount, people would start buying it. However, when the company starts giving discounts, it doesn't earn profit. It actually suffers a loss of 1.77 per unit on an average. So obviously, it means that the discount margin that the company is providing is not healthy, and even though the company wants to provide the discounts, it should be taking care of the percentage of discount it should give so as to not hit the unit, so as to not hit the profit margin. One of the ways it could do is by increasing the sales value and then giving slighter discount. I mean, one of the ways that company would want to work on would be its discount that it is offering to the companies. Now we could start looking into various other segments as well, like shipping mode. What is the most popular shipping mode? So if I want to filter sort by count, so we can see that standard class is the most frequent mode of uh, order, followed by second class and then first class. Very less people go for the same day delivery. If I want to look at the segments again, then consumers tend to buy almost half of the orders placed are by consumers, followed by corporate and home office. So, from the sales perspective, or from the sales perspective, the company should be focusing more on the consumer segment and attract them. But when we look at the sales order value, right? The order value is the least ones, and the biggest ones is the home office ones, which obviously place very less orders with them. If I want to look into the subcategories, and I want to go with sort option, I can go with profit. So the most profitable subcategory for us is copier. Obviously, the sales of copier is the least, but there is a healthy profit on it. So a unit profit is $237 on each unit of copiers being sold, which is very good. And most of the bulk of the profit is coming from the a lot of profit is coming from the copier, followed by phone. Phone has the second highest profit, but in terms of the sales, it is the highest ones. So when we look into the percentage of the profit dollar value divided by sales, it's not that big. However, since the sum of sales is higher, our profit in terms of dollar value is also higher. So the segments, now we look into the two loss-making subcategories, tables and bookcases. When we look at the tables, the sales was on $200,000. However, we got a loss of $17,000 on it. On an average, there was a loss of $14 for every unit of table sold. With the bookcases, the loss was $4 for every bookcase being sold. And if I look into these two, filter, if I want to see sum of profit is less than zero, and these are the ones, right? What I want to do is I want to drag the discount in here to see what's happening with the discount. If we look at in all the three segments where we made subcategories where we made the loss, we can see a very similar pattern. Whenever the discount was given, we suffered a loss in here as well. When the discount was suffered, we got loss, and in tables as well. When the discount was offered, we suffered a loss. And overall, because of the instances when we gave the discounts, we got the loss. It shows us that in these three subcategories at least, either should be lowering our discount values, or we should be not giving the discounts at all. Otherwise, our profitability will suffer, and we will continue to incur losses on these things, on these subcategories. So these are some of the ways where how we can look into the data, analyze the data, and share some insights uh, with our stakeholders and our management. So that's it from my side today. Thanks a lot for viewing this video. I would bring more videos soon. Thanks.